Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Barcast TV and to another episode of Barcast Daily. It is currently July 18th, 2023. We've got something, hopefully, that's going to be very entertaining, a 2v2 between some very high-level players. So let's go ahead and introduce them as we get into the match. Spawning as the red team, playing in the bottom left side of Isidis Crack, we have Malady playing as the red pieces and his teammate Raghna playing as the yellow pieces. And their opponent spawning on the top right side of the map, we have the blue team, starting with Clyret, playing as the Armada commander in the blue pieces, and his teammate, my man Teddy, playing as the green pieces, spawning core, opening a bot lab, so really typical of his playstyle. And I've been enjoying these. For those of you who didn't catch the 3v3 series, or tournament rather, that was on last week, kind of inspired me to cast some more team games because the format, the matchup seemed pretty interesting, and I was lucky enough to find this high-level 2v2 game. So if this is something you'd like to see more of on the channel, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll be sure to feature more of these in the future. So yeah, I'll be keeping an eye out for these kinds of matches. So this is Isidis Crack, which I've actually been playing some 1v1s on recently, and it's a really strong map, really cool, just the right size, I'd say, and open enough. It's got plenty of mexes, and a really interesting topographical feature here with this large crack in the middle you can't really traverse across. So it really hinders some unit movements. It also has these kind of like plateaus, which we can see vehicles cannot traverse across these. Sorry, I'd have to change my hotkey setup to use that. But just this cliff right here, you can walk up with bots in your commander, and I believe this one, but there's like no mexes there. And of course, these ones in the corner. This one in the corner, you have to transport or like mine hop your construction vehicle. We saw Zillow kind of pull that out in the tournament as well. So lots of cool stuff going on. Things are changing, and yeah, this should be a really exciting match. Definitely for sure with such like high quality players. And we'll just have to see underway. So, like I said earlier, Clyret opening up for a armed vehicle plant. Teddy's going for core bots, already moving out of the main base with the commander. Found a little bit of damage here. He's gonna get reclaimed. Is he gonna get that off? Barely gets out in time, and it's gonna get cleaned up by some ticks. But yeah, so we have Raghna going for the vehicle plant, armed vehicles, along with his teammate Malady going for armed bots. Already has a construction turret up before he moved out with his commander. I really like to see that. His construction turrets do a great job of replacing the build power of the commander as they move out of the map. So we're in this like early stage of the game where we have just these early harassing units kind of patrolling around, sharking around, looking for damage. And you see Teddy already has a lot of grunts out on the map, so he's going to be fanning those out, looking to put some pressure on here. So he's moving those all to the left side of the map. He's expanding with the commander here. He's capped these 3 mexes, added on a radar and an LT. Should be making some more wind turbines, and this one cheeky tick is going to get cleaned up. See a couple of ticks and units here on the right side of the map from Malady, just continuing to look for damage, getting chased down by these scouts of Clyret. And we'll have to see like where these players are looking to secure the map, what they're going to be teching into. I'll try my best to kind of keep an eye on the main bases and see what's going to be coming out onto the battlefield. See, Raghna's grouping up a lot of units here in the center. Teddy is looking for an opportunity to strike here. Kind of sees the army positioning with this one grunt here. Didn't quite get that LLT, but should end up cleaning up this mex. Might get that rover that's very close by. And that's going to get cleaned up for now, so that's going to trigger Teddy to move to the left side of the map. We have a little bit of a run by here. That's unfortunate. This one single rover is going to find a lot of damage, I'd imagine, so it can take out mexes pretty quickly. Oh, it just goes down to that explosion, so rather unfortunate. Could have continued to find damage there. We see these grunts taking on the blitzes here in the center of the map. Really trying to abuse their range, of course, and I noticed Teddy likes to play bots on these rather large open maps, and even in team games, despite the current meta kind of favoring vehicles or, I suppose, arm bots. So really sticking to what he knows, what he's strong at, and I believe this is still a completely viable playstyle, especially in these team games. You really want to abuse the mobility of bots, And we'll have to see how he kind of leverages that moving into the mid game here. And one thing I'd like to point out, Team 1 has these sliders, these share sliders set down very low. So as soon as they start floating, they'll start sharing resources to their teammates. Really cool little technique there. We saw that utilized a lot in the 3v3 tournament. So got a bit of a scuffle here in the center of the map. Clyret just barely got this LLT up in time. It's going to help stabilize this position here, and his commander should be totally fine. There's some grunts pressing forward here in the center of the map, looking for damage. A little bit of a run by here. It's going to get cleaned up by Raghna, so good job. Taking, kind of deflecting that bot attack without taking too much damage, and taking a look at these main bases. We see Teddy already has a couple construction turrets up, still in that bot lab. Clyret sitting on one construction turret, just a couple assisting construction vehicles. Down here in the bottom right corner of the map, we have some rovers still continuing to look for damage here. Should end up getting cleaned up. All these ticks here, they're just now turning around and should get out of there safely. You can see Malady already has a huge eco up already. Just has so much wind turbines. It's really giving his team the advantage in the wind department, and that's going to allow Raghna to really produce just more and more units. So pretty cool to see Malady sharing all this electricity with his teammates, and that's going to help both of them kind of create as many units as possible. So really efficient use of resources there and build power. See this tick run by is going to get dealt with not before taking out a mech and a radar. So really cool damage. We see Clyret's pressed really far forward here, and has got some units kind of flanking on the side, so these blitzes doing what they can to kind of protect this flank. But we see these ticks have kind of found an opening here. They're at least going to get one of these mexes for their troubles. Meanwhile, Raghna and Teddy's commanders standing off against each other. Teddy trying to get off this forward bot lab. Meanwhile, on the other side of the crack, we have Malady stepping forward, taking out an LOT, getting these D guns off. He's got a lot of pawns around his commander right now. See Clyret trying to shave off a few of those with a D-gun of his own. And Malady pushes Clyret back, so pretty interesting to see. And I think I just heard an air unit. What was that? Yeah, so Malady already has a air factory up, calling out to his teammate, going bombers. So we're going to have to see how efficient this is, how much damage he's going to be able to get with this kind of surprise attack. See this great unit position here from Teddy. He's got most of his bots here in the center of the board, protecting his commander, hanging around these LLTs and this radar positioning, just kind of mirroring his opponent's movements. He's got some units in the top right side of the map, and Clyret's maybe found an opening here. He's got a lot of blitzes moving towards Malady's main base, and could end up spotting this bear bomber. I wonder if he's going to get that call out here. I'll have to take a look at this player cam. Well, that's interesting. See, yeah, so he spotted the bomber. I'm sure they got the notification for that. And that should trigger them to create their own air lab. And Teddy, has gone ahead and reclaimed his own bot lab here and has an air factory already up in his main base. So I doubt if these bombers are going to get too much damage done. They waste one of their bombing runs trying to take out these LOTs in the center. I'm not sure if this is the best use of those. Meanwhile, in Red's main base, we have these blitzes kind of stepping forward, running into these auto turrets. Though they're going to get reclaimed really quickly. And sorry, trying to keep up with all this. Is bombers trying to get their bombing run off, but meanwhile, Malady is looking for some huge damage. Has a huge pawn army standing right outside Clyret's base, and he's going to end up rolling over this entire main base here. So really nice damage. Clyret scrambling back with these blitzes, trying to do what he can. But I want to say they didn't get the same amount of counter damage done. I mean, Malady suffered a couple wind turbines. He's going to lose like a construction bot, maybe a few more of these wind turbines here, but definitely not the same amount of damage. I suppose the one saving grace, Clyret managed to keep control of his factory, and Teddy's kind of fielding these shurikens out to paralyze these pawns so they can't get any more damage. So I'm doing what he can to kind of stay in the game with his teammate. Gifted a lot of these grunts to his teammate, so hopefully he can kind of reinforce Clyret's position here before Malady is able to secure too much of an advantage. Meanwhile, in Malady's main base, Raghna kind of stepped down to defend his teammate. So looks like things are stabilizing a bit. We have these little stout run-bys here on the left side of the map. These shurikens are going to come in, paralyze these for now, And that should give Teddy the chance to bring up some units to kind of deal with those for now. We see between Teddy and Malady, we have, Teddy and Raghna, we have some missile trucks going up against these Janus here. So Teddy's trying to get a couple of artillery out before moving into his own medium tank production. And we see these fighters from Malady came in to try and clean up these shurikens for now. But Teddy was already had some of his own fighters produced, so was able to kind of clean those up. The shurikens come back to paralyze those tanks for now. Meanwhile, we have a little bit of a push here from Raghna. He's stepping forward with his commander, keeping his units repaired up, just trying to like press his advantage here, I suppose, and push Teddy off of this position. I got a lot of range fire here exchanged between both teams, and meanwhile, in the bottom right side, Clyret came back with a vengeance. He's got another little run-by force here, so blitzes and grunts, you don't see this unit composition together too much. And there is not a lot of army between Malady's main base and this little push here, so we're going to have to keep a track of how much damage that's going to get done. Meanwhile, we have this little push here continuing to go off in the center. You have some Janus shots landing. Artillery is exchanging fire on either side of this line here, so it's going to be interesting to see how these players navigate. It looks like Raghna's pushing forward with his medium tanks. Teddy meets to greet him with his own grunts, and he's going to push Raghna back. He's just trying to repair these units as best he can. Meanwhile, in the bottom side of the map, a big trade here. You have grunts and blitz versus pawns and blitz with a lot of res bots in the back, so you don't want to be donating all this mass or reclaims to your opponent with so many res bots, like, right behind the battlefield. So think smartly. Clyret's just going to pull back. Doesn't want to take a bad trade so close to his opponent's main base, and we'll have to take a look at these statistics. This is really tense. Raghna's really pushing forward here with a lot of these medium tanks, but Teddy was able to get one of these Dragon's Maw turrets up. He's got a lot of lashers out that can outrange these tanks, and Raghna goes down. His commander goes down, takes out a lot of medium tanks with him, so a little bit of an overstep there. Nice little advantage going to the blue team. We see Malady has got some fighters kind of patrolling around, and Clyret's continuing to look for damage. He's in a little bit of a precarious situation here, stuck between this LOT Forest and Commander and just a huge pawn army. So he's doing what he can to kind of trade this out, but I want to say that's not the best trade for our blue player there, especially with so many of these resbots on the field. It looks like Malady is kind of pulling up some gunships. We're going to have to see how he wants to use those. Meanwhile, in the middle of the map, Teddy trying to get this reclaim off on this commander. I'm not sure how much he was able to get, just a little bit before having to step off that wreck. There's 1,000 mass there up for grabs. We see these gunships finally making an appearance here on the bottom right side, doing what they can to kind of slow down this attack. These LOTs are not very effective against these units, just kind of peppering them, hardly doing any damage versus these air units. I really like this switch here, bringing in these his own fighters to kind of cover that position. I'd anticipate Teddy kind of moving his own fighters down, and that's going to give these shurikens a chance to kind of step forward, push Raghna off of this position for now, and that should allow Teddy, to kind of come in here and get this reclaim off on that commander. So really good pickup, getting that 1k mass into his team's coffers. We see a lot of resbots still on the main map, and Malady's got a pretty big standing army. He's got 41 pawns in the kind of center board right here. He's got a lot of blitzes rotating around, continuing to find damage, and on Teddy's lane here, he's doing a good job of pushing Raghna back. I mean, he can't really move into these tanks, but he secured like this middle part of the board. He's healing up his commander. He got the reclaim, so really nice position here on the right side. And it looks like Teddy's kind of pulling up his own bombers, so should be making a little bit of a bombing run here in a moment. Gonna have to take a look, trying to keep up with all this action. These blitzes kind of stepping forward on the right side. They're gonna find a construction bot, but I think Clyret's got enough units here to kind of contest this position. Don't expect too much damage to get done. Not sure where those gunships went. Meanwhile, Malady has kind of moved his large pawn army here to Raghna's lane and should be kind of moving this, so he donates all these units to Raghna. Got a lot going on. The splits run by is still looking for damage here. It's found Teddy's main base, and he should get a decent amount of damage here. These shurikens are going to do what they can to paralyze this army, and Teddy bombs his own base. Not the most efficient trade there. You don't want to be bombing your own resources, so Trying to keep track of all of this damage. We have some artillery going down in the center from Clyret. Stepped a little bit too far forward. A lot of res bots here in the center for Malady doing what they can to kind of res all these units. And we have this bombing run coming in. Raghna's got a huge push on the left side, and his teammate is pinging this huge bombing run, so we're going to have to take a look and see how much damage they get. Got a couple of, this first run gets off. No anti-air just yet, gets a lot of wind turbines, and he's not done gaining damage, so he's got a couple more attack orders. These 2 turrets in the main base are going to shoo these bombers away from now, so, but still getting a lot of damage here. Meanwhile, on the top middle side of the board, we have this huge pawn army rolling forward. Uncontested. There's really not a lot to stop there in between all these pawns and the main base of Teddy, so they're going to have to scramble to come up with a defense for that. Meanwhile, in the center, we've got a big vehicle army trying to gather strength here. We have Teddy, Clyret stepping forward with his commander. He deguns the factory, but he might end up losing this commander. He's got to pull back. There's gunships and stouts kind of peppering him. He's so low. He's going to go down. Yeah, but not before taking out a lot of pawns with him. Meanwhile, on the top side of the map, I mean, there's 41 pawns running towards Teddy's main base. How are you going to stop that? There's only a couple of LLTs here. Not enough shurikens to stop this, and he's going to lose his entire main base, it seems like. Construction turrets doing what they can to reclaim these pawns, but it's just not enough to stop this DPS output. So, really good trade here. Clearing out this main base, and I mean, those bombers got some damage on the opposite side of the map, but I mean, it seems like the red team still has a lot of their economy and production intact, whereas I mean, the blue team is just reduced to these one factory and relatively even energy income. So this game is closer than it looks. Take a look at these statistics here. Looks like the blue team is up by like about 5k mass. That's not indicative of the total amount of reclaim had, and Teddy's still doing what he can to kind of pressure this bottom side of the map. He doesn't want to, can't really give up this pressure here. Otherwise, it's going to let the red team kind of have free reign over the map. Teddy's own fighters doing what they can to get these gunships taken care of. Meanwhile, in the middle of the map, Clyret scrambling to get control of this reclaim, but this construction bot's going to go down. Teddy calling out they have no E, and he's right. They're knocked down to about 1k energy. I'm not sure where that's at. There seems to be so few wind turbines out on the map right now. So Teddy's got a little bit of advantage. He's got more tanks. He's got these shurikens kind of like paralyzing this army for now. I don't see any anti-air, and Malady is just spamming ticks at the moment, so really kind of showing how weak his position is. I mean, he's got a lot of pawns. He's got a lot of ticks, but both his opposing teammates are on vehicle tech and have some splash damage out. So Malady moving towards the left side, sensing this damage, but we have 1 pounder protecting this army. They're so effective against these ticks. He gets a couple shots off. Can he get one more before going down? Yeah, continuing to get a lot of damage, so all those ticks go down for almost free. Meanwhile, in the center of the map, I mean, there's one commander left for each team. Malady's commander is about 50% health, trying to cloak himself. I wonder if Clyret knows the position of that. So this is getting really tense, really fast. This main base is yet to be cleaned up. And we have, I mean, Malady stepping forward against this tank army, but there's too many Janus here. I'm not sure how well this trade is going to go down. These Thrashers aren't too bad against these bots in and of themselves. And there's just a lot of pressure on the red team. I mean, they're doing what they can to kind of recreate this economy, but I mean, just look at the minimap. So much pressure. Two vehicle armies just standing right outside the main base, and Clyret's sensing this advantage. I mean, he's moving forward uncontested. He's so close to the main base of Malady. Got a lot of pings going off. 14 spectators in the game right now, watching the action, doing what they can to kind of follow along. We have this nice little fighter screen still out for Teddy. I really like that retention. It's going to give him control of the skies. No bombing runs are going to, get the red team back into the game here. And yeah, Teddy's kind of found an opening here on the left side of the board. He's got a lot of medium tanks, a lot of incisors here moving down the left side, going to shave off a lot of these mexes and wind turbines of Raghna. Malady thinks he's going to be calling GG soon. You have, I mean, 2 huge armies just outside the main base of the red team, and they have really no way to kind of capitalize on any advantage. I mean, Malady's spamming ticks, trying to find damage where he can. But I mean, how do you stop these huge vehicle armies? We see Teddy's vehicle army clearing out this entire left side of the map, circling around to the back of Malady's main base. He has to bring his entire army out for the front line, and that's going to give this blue army an opportunity to fight Raghna's tanks. And yeah, the commander goes down, so Malady calls GG, resigns of the game, and looks like the blue team take the win. So really interesting match, really high level game here. And once again, if y'all enjoy these 2v2 casts, let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next replay. Thanks for watching.